Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 23rd episode of ICC Biz Live, our live show on knowledge. We have with us today Mr. Alekh Johari, uh, a designer, a technologist among India's top 200 fintech voices on LinkedIn. He has founded and runs a company called Anemoi Solution, specializing in emerging technologies like blockchain, metaverse, AI. He was also given the title of Metaverse Torchbearer. What attracted me to him to this is this concept metaverse. How this can be used commercially in today's world, or rather virtual world, contributing to the real world. Alec is an advisor in multiple startups. He has led led projects for events like London Olympics and FIFA World Cup. He's a guest faculty in India's pioneering Institute of Fashion Education, NIFT, Delhi, and others. He's a program architect for AR, VR, and Metaverse at Bharatverse. So, Alec, anything more to add?
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ghosh, for inviting me here, first of all. One line could be, that I also run podcasts. The primary idea behind running podcasts is to educate, the audience. And I run multiple, but, the primary being called The Future of Web. We've had, in about 31 episodes, we've already had guests from about 18, 19 countries. The idea with that is, you can have diverse perspectives come on a single platform and talk about new technologies. Thank you.
Well, let's begin our journey.
Yeah.
We all know about AI and ML. Myself, particularly because I have studied. Now, but what are augmented reality and virtual reality? I mean, avatar. I mean, something about we see in movies. I mean, how is it becoming practical? Is it really being implemented? What is happening actually?
Yeah. So I think it's a very important question, that I often get asked. That how do you differentiate? Because normally AR and VR and they're all set or kind of in the same
Interchangeable.
sentence. Not interchangeably, but in the same sentence, right? The basic difference between AR and VR is that augmented reality, in augmented reality, you have physical object or virtual objects placed in your physical environment. Say, for example, I'm sitting right now. I can have some, character pop up right next to me here, left, right, top, bottom, right? And you can have it in front of you, beside you, on both left and right, top and bottom. But what you cannot do in AR is you cannot have it beneath you, like under your feet or behind you, right? That's the core difference, Uh, that's the core AR. VR is essentially virtual reality. Virtual reality, you might have seen, like you brought up, in movies. They used to have blue screen and green screen. The idea with that was, to have background as well as, basically 360-degree, replacement of the physical space into a virtual space. That's one. Taking one step further, virtual reality can also be with head-mounted devices, where they put on your head, and then you are transported into a different environment.
Oh,
Right? Yeah.
that means a video game is also virtual reality.
To some extent, yes. But video game is essentially more of an experiential thing that you do on a laptop or a phone. So that's more experiential. I would say it can go more into the metaverse side of things, because it's more experiential. But virtual reality as an understanding, as a statement, as a technology is like replacing your background or physical background or, your around surroundings with a virtual one. That's a very, very basic, language for it.
Okay, now before we come to metaverse,
Mm-hmm.
the topic of focus today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was reading somewhere that the metaverse is nothing new. What we Egyptians did in pyramids, that is also one form of metaverse. Is it so? I mean, So what is the historic metaverse and what is current metaverse?
Okay, so metaverse per se doesn't really have a, like a core definition of its sorts. Everybody has made it their own. Matthew Ball, one of the originators of talk, who started talking about metaverse a lot, had given it a definition. It's quite expressive. I created my own definition as well, right? So, what you have to understand is metaverse is more of an experience, right? People say that it's an immersive experience. If you go to the next level, right? Which could also mean that reading a book and fully being immersed in it can also become a metaverse. We basically lose a sense of your surroundings. That can also be called a metaverse. But technically speaking, metaverse, like you said, metaverse is not something new. I will agree with that. Why? Because metaverse is something which has evolved from something called as virtual worlds, right? So I started building virtual worlds since 2007. Before that, there was a game called Second Life, which was the OG of metaverses. The metaverse terminology came into being in a 1992 novel, if I'm correct with the year, by Mr. Nash. You can search about it, Google it. Right, that is when he started talking about metaverse as an experience and what metaverse kind of denotes. Right, so about the Egyptian thing that you mentioned, I'm not very sure. I've not read it, but if it has anything to do with experiential, then you can definitely relate with it.
Uh, Nash, is it something to do with Nash equilibrium?
No, 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 no.
Or
It has nothing to do with Nash. No, no. The guy, I'm forgetting the author's first name. The second name is Nash. And there was this
okay,
book in 1992. And I'm, somehow, I mean, we keep talking about it, but the name is not coming to me right now. Right. But yeah, it's about metaverse. That's where basically he introduced the word metaverse.
okay. Now, metaverse and Web3 technology are related. How?
Okay, so first you have to understand what exactly metaverse can do. Metaverse primarily talks about experiential, right? Experience means that you and I sitting doing this call online. We could do this talk in a metaverse or a virtual world experience as well. What essentially differs between VR, virtual reality, and metaverse is the enablement of technology with the blockchain as the underlying layer. What do I mean by that? Say, for example, you want to have guests right now. You're streaming on different platforms, Facebook, and YouTube or LinkedIn. But instead of streaming there, you want everybody to come and have a seat within that metaverse experience, like you're doing it in a stadium, and you want it to be token gated, right? So token gated means that somebody, only authorized people will be allowed to enter. Authorization doesn't necessarily mean it will be paid, but it, what it can also mean is that only the, you don't want bots to come in, but you want only people who have taken that free ticket to come and experience this chat between Alekh and Dr. Ghosh, right? So that facility is enablement from technology coming from blockchain through NFTs, that's non-fungible tokens. We're not, I'm sure, covering that, but that is where metaverse actually comes into the play. So I'll give you an example. There was an artist who had done a full concert in metaverse, and they had sold NFTs at tickets, and all the ones who had those NFTs could only join that concert. They could experience it. That's one. The other thing is it can also work as proof. There's something called as POAP, proof of attendance protocol. It could also work as a POAP, saying that uh, anybody who comes to the concert gets 10% or 15% or 20% off on my merchandise, right? All artists and all big celebrities have their own merchandise, beach hoodies, shirts, trousers, caps, shoes, whatever. So whenever I'm getting into the concert, it gets registered and I get an NFT, which is basically becomes a proof that I was part of the concert. And I can use that NFT and go to a physical store and get probably a discount, in a physical, like when I'm buying their merchandise. That's one. The other thing would be the same NFT can be used in a game that particular celebrity or person has partnered with. So that could be in Roblox, it could be in Minecraft or whatever. And I can have virtual merchandise that is again available to me as NFTs. And I can, like wear nice shoes. So Nike had a big launch. There was a brand called RTFKT, right? They bought it for about $1 billion at the hype. At right now, I think they just closed the project. I think this year or late last year. But yeah, I mean that those are the opportunities, which it offers.
But how do they link you with this NFT?
With blockchain, so basically they are, I'll give an example. There's a metaverse experience called Decentraland. So they have their own or Sandbox. They have their own currency, digital currencies. So they're all built on Ethereum blockchain. So when you enter, if you want to buy a land there, you can buy that land or do some transaction based on their local currencies. And then, a lot of this is available as NFTs. So essentially the augment of blockchain is what, enables NFTs or tradable NFTs, to be available in that particular metaverse experience.
But there is no upper limit as such on
Upper limit.
Total number in NFTs that can be issued. There's no upper limit, I believe.
That depends on platform to platform. You can have a limitation. You cannot have a limitation. See, the idea with this is that when you have a limitation, psychologically it becomes more valuable, right? And it has nothing to do with like blockchain, NFTs or anything.
No. It has nothing to do with psychology.
Yeah. So it has all to do with psychology, right? Anything which is say limited in number, people value it more.
Metaverse is a collection of interconnected virtual spaces. Can you explain that? Does it mean I'm having a virtual journey as such?
Yes. So ideally, the intention with the metaverse is that there's going to be multiple verses, or mini verses, you can say, which are all connected with each other. Where you can go, say, from education to concert. It's like living in physical space, right? But virtually. But even right now, there are not much interconnection of virtual worlds built on different platforms. But there is a platform called Spatial, which is very easy to access, where you have the option of creating multiple, these verses, and they can be connected as portals to each other, and all these different mini verses can have multiple functions or can have their individual functions. Say, for example, one could be a simple garden where people want to just go take a walk, have a sort of a nature walk. One could be a library, one could be, a stadium, the other could be an amphitheater, or one could be a skating rink, something like that, right? And all these could be different mini verses, can be connected through portals with each other. But again, having said that, I want to say that Spatial in itself is complete, but Spatial is not connected with any other platform. So to say. Similarly, Decentraland works in isolation. Roblox works in with it has its own ecosystem. The idea with the metaverse is if you talk to the OGs, is that all of these should be interconnected. It's like you going to US via plane. There should be a portal where you can connect from one say verse or a mini verse to another one. That is yet to happen, but yeah, eventually that's the idea.
So basically, it can also mean a virtual shopping mall where I can go from one shop to another. And
absolutely, exactly. So that can still be done. Say, for example, you decide to create a virtual mall. So, and then you give, in virtual mall, you give shops to all the other people, right? Say all these different brands coming in, putting up their shops. Then as a user, if I want to enter that shop as an avatar, I can go enter and make some purchase there itself, or I can be redirected towards their regular, say marketplace or a portal like a website where I can purchase. So it can be cross-linked. You can do the direct purchase there within the metaverse itself, or you can go ahead and redirect to the website, and then I can purchase there. I can do a try on as well. Like it's just not purchase. It's a virtual try on which I can easily do in the metaverse space as well.
Right, I can use it to generate business. That's No,
It's
what
not
is
only
the
generate business. I want to add, sorry, Dr. Ghosh, here
sure,
is,
sure.
it's just not about business. See, the idea with all these Web3 and blockchain and all these technologies is to create a community. What do you mean by community? We all talk about keep community. Say we all stay in a particular area, right? And then over a period of time, we get affinity with our neighbors, and slowly and steadily, we start building a community of like we meet at events, we are supporting each other in the good times and the bad times, and like that. So what happens is all these brands, what they need to do is, and a lot of big brands are doing it, is they're trying to build a community of people who like their products, right? So we've all heard about the big, clash between Pepsi and Coke. I don't endorse
Yeah,
drinking them, but I'm just saying, people who love them. And in soccer, even in soccer, like with one particular team playing with the other particular team, there's a clashes between fans, and sometimes it become brutal. What I'm trying to say is it's a community of people who are so big fans of a particular either product or a team or anything, where they actually like live and breathe it. So what brands are trying to do is, with these experiences available, with this experiential technology available to them of metaverse, they are trying to build communities where they can reach out to the people faster. Eventually, what happens is when you are part of a community, you trust people more. So, example, they build a community, and community is not only for commercial purposes. I want to clear that. Community means like supporting each other. There's a difference. So whenever a brand wants to launch something new, they would go and probably offer it at a how do I say it, before coming out open in the market, they would offer to the community, maybe at a discount, maybe not as a discount. Maybe they want to go and test waters, how are how is the community perceiving this new product that we're trying to launch, right? So those are the kind of things that needs to be built, and that is what offers. And what creating a WhatsApp group is not a community. There's much more than that.
you know, seems the concept is we ahead of it. What you're discussing is not yet happening. I mean, sounds very interesting. What is the
Well,
architecture
go ahead.
of this world? Are there any guidelines to this architecture?
See, guidelines are primarily, you have to understand the basic user. There's no, see, there are technical guidelines. Yes, I can talk a little bit about them as well. But from a recreational or from a creation point of view, the guidelines is, that create something that the user would really enjoy. That's one. And it will not sell off itself. The traditional marketing method would still apply. So a lot of mistake that a lot of big brands did was they thought, we are big, like for example, X or any other brand. We are big brands. By X, I did not mean Twitter, but by X, I meant, any brand. So we are big brand. We are going to hop onto this new technology, the hot technology called Metaverse. Let us station ourselves there. And then automatically, we will sell whatever we're trying to build. And there are a lot of campaigns which fell flat. I'm going to give you an example. There's a car company, without naming them, of course. They thought, so they're like a big muscle car, right? So they thought we're going to launch NFTs, and people are going to buy NFT, say at 70, 80,000, whatever. And we're going to give people a free car. Nobody bought it. Nobody bought it. I'm telling you. What people forget is just because we are in the hypes, partnering or using a technology which is just hype, we're going to sell us, it's going to sell itself. No. What people forgot is that you need to talk to humans behind, who's going to do the purchase, who's going to become part of you. That's where community development becomes a very, very key factor. What people expect is, that we are partnering with this, we are spending this, this much amount of money, it will sell itself. It will not. You have to go and create strategies around where is your audience? How are you going to talk to them? What is the language that they understand? And then the added advantage of the technology will come into the picture. Okay, so this is a new experience we're trying to give them, right? So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
No, it answers very, very well.
Thank you.
But this does a digital metaverse emerge iteratively? I mean, we have had one proposal where, I mean, sort of a digital proposal where we will feed in data and get response, and by trial and error. But does this happen in metaverse also?
Oh, absolutely. See, you consider it like, like I said in the previous question, that first you have to understand the needs of the users, what they're looking at, what is it that appeals to them. Do their demographic, analysis. What age group are you targeting? What gender? What are their preferences? Right. Once you understand all of that, that is when you should start building an experience. Because once they come and you give them something which they love, they will automatically like. And if they don't like something, you should always be open to feedback, which answers your questions. That everything evolves iteratively. Definitely, say you've used the color pink, but the audience like the color purple, or something to do with golden, right? So whatever your audience likes, so it's going to be iteratively, getting better, getting refined. And why it is important, to build it iteratively. It is important because you have to make sure that people keep coming back to you. If people are not coming back to your experience, like every day, or every other day, or every once or twice or thrice a week, which means that you've not been able to maintain. Grabbing attention is okay, that I just say in the beginning, but you need to be able to maintain that attention. And why would you be able, and how would you be able to maintain that attention? The answer lies with, that when people get what they're looking for, the thrill that they want, the experience that they want, the information that they want, the knowledge that they're seeking, if you're able to give that through the experience you're creating, they will definitely come back. And that is an iterative cycle. In the step one, it can't be done fully.
Mm,
Thank you.
then something. I mean, I'm I'm taking name open the big. Let's say Amazon. They do give, according to some, they do give a thrilling experience. Also, that means that, that people keep coming back to them. I mean, maybe those sites, do they? I mean, do they? I mean, do they apply metaverse? I don't think so, but they do make people keep coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Because what they're selling is a website. They're selling products. Eventually, experience is personal. Like they say, the mind doesn't know whether you're feeling, whether you are winning or losing. It just experiences the emotions, right? The same way the experience is whether a website can give you, a metaverse can give you. See, what again, a lot of problem that people did was they're trying to use technology to fix a problem which could have been fixed by a simple website or simple talking to people, right? They're not building a metaverse for solving a problem. They're building a metaverse for the heck of it, so to say. That is where the differentiation comes. So what Amazon,
Metaverse,
yeah, sorry, go
uh,
ahead.
no, metaverse is complex, but it is useful complexity where every object or participant can pick up, hold, use, and try out, and and it's a totally new environment. I mean, what is this thing called useful complexity? I mean, anything complex is difficult to understand, but what is useful complexity? I mean, this is somebody's quotation. I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. See, ideally, what happens is useful complexity refers to the, how do I say it, the quality or richness, so to say, of the interactions, the behaviors, uh, the possibilities, what happens within a metaverse or a virtual world experience. What it essentially doesn't mean is, that if I fill one space with a lot of elements, that is not what complexity means. It means that how meaningful or diverse that interaction it is for a user. Say, for example, when you're using an iPhone or any other phone, what sort of experience are you getting? Similar is, the useful complexity is that within a virtual world, say for example, can I pick an object, or Can I, draw within a virtual world? Or can I have a, like a board meeting in a metaverse experience where we can bring up reports and talk about them and expand on them, right? Can I use it for research? Can I take a particular element and expand on it, right? Can I draw graphs and bring my, point to understand, for understanding by the other people who are sitting in that metaverse room. So that you can say, usual complexity. And I would say, see, it is not really complexity. Anything which is, how do I say it? I'm trying to find very simple words. Say people usually fear that they don't understand, right? and and sometimes they find it complex. For any builder, say for example, if I ask you to build a car, right, and you're an expert in AI, that to create an LLM model, you'll say, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, do that, right? It'll be much more easier to explain, when you explain it versus somebody else,
Right.
right? So same way, till the time we go and study it and understand it, it's going to remain complex. Say for example, if you go to a Michelin star hotel, and ask for a dish, for somebody, to create a nice dish, oh, it's going to look so nice, but and if I try to recreate it, it's going to be very complex for me. But when a star chef who's like dedicated his time and hours to it, it will be very effortless for that person. So what I'm trying to say is that externally it might look complex, but essentially the idea that what anything is trying to achieve, whether metaverse or anything else, is to give a great experience to the user.
So how do you market through metaverse? Are we doing it in India now?
Very less, to be honest. We don't see a lot of brands coming into us. Or earlier there were earlier, a lot of brands coming in, who wanted virtual experiences created. I was just talking to somebody in Middle East, Dubai, last week. Lot of interest is generated, and be or experiences being built for commerce. Like say they build websites, like you said. They're building metaverse spaces for shopping, try-ons, actual purchase. That is being built right now. In India, we're not doing too much as of now, at least not in my knowledge. Maybe one or two brands are doing it, but haven't seen any of the big brands do it right now. In the past, yes, they all tried to experience, put their hands on it, but not as of today.
What is the scenario in China, Singapore, ASEAN region, and in USA for metaverse?
A lot of people are see what they're trying to build is they're trying to build experiences. Yes, a lot of big brands are doing it. So Roblox is one of the preferred platforms because that's where a lot of brands are trying to target Gen Zs. And they play a lot of games in Roblox. So they're doing a lot of activations in Roblox, irrespective of the the geography that you said. Say a lot of fashion brands like Gucci, even that Walmart, and all these brands are definitely going there. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with say a country per se, but brand specific and what they're trying to do. So Nike did it earlier, and Fortnite was also kind of famous, where one artist, I had this uh, stat noted down. So Travis Scott did a concert in Fortnite, which had about 12 million attendees. Right. Skoda launched one of their cars, last year in the Metaverse experience, and a lot of other places. So yeah, so it is nothing to do with, how do I say it? See, most of the thing is driven either by US or European clients. Less in the Middle East. Like I just gave you an example, they have resurfaced using experiences. The advantage with that is and if you are at the right place at the right time, you can build it sitting in India for a customer in Singapore, or Middle East or US. So those are really not the challenges per se, but being in front of the right people who value this experience is more important.
Since you are an expert in this area, what kind of work have you done? What experience do you have to share for our members and people hearing you?
See, my experience, what I want to tell is that we created a few events, where people would come. We built spaces, obviously, where people would want to come and do an experience. They want to do a talk. They want to do brand activation or product activation. They want to launch and they want to, just have a good time, have an experience around it. My suggestion will to anybody who's listening, who's into businesses, even if you don't understand it right now, take part in it. It's going to definitely add value to your customers. So I'll give you one very particular experience. That so there's something called as an NPC, which is non-playable character, right? So what that does is, say you build your physical office, like a virtual office, and
Okay.
you meet somebody at the reception, and that person will come. So your guests are joining from different parts of the world, and when they come to the reception area, that they can ask any question to the NPC, that, say, a receptionist or the person being at the reception, and that can answer all the questions these guests will ask. What are the timings, when would people be available, when can I meet up, what is it that you do, what you build, and stuff like that, without any physical, even a virtual person being available from your side, right? And then they can direct them, okay, well, let me take you to a scheduled meeting, the boss is waiting, or the head of business is waiting, let's go and talk to him, and stuff like that. So all that experience can be automated, and and people have done that a lot, right? And and that's one of sort of a professional experience. The other is gaming experience. You want to create nice games, in different platforms where people experience, take part of it, and at the end of it, you want to like give them an idea about what product you're launching, what you want to sell, and how you want to keep engaging them, right?
So if people ask you about what is the difference between uh, uh, Zoom and Metaverse, what would this kind of basic questions you'll get in India?
Well, the one basic thing is, my usually one short answer is, you have to experience it. So I'll invite them to a metaverse experience, have them experience it, and then we'll talk about is it the same or different, right? Especially when you do it with a head-mounted device, so there's a difference. So again, there's a caliber. So if I'm doing a semi-immersive experience, which is on the browser, then my experience will be lesser. But if I'm putting on a headset, then
Yeah.
which is fully immersive, then the experience is definitely which people will never experience in a Zoom call. That's one. The other is you actually feel that you're sitting as part of that experience center. Say for example, you're doing this talk sitting in an amphitheater. How does it look like? You standing in a podium, and then people sit around you on the stairs, right? So the same experience you will feel once you are there in the world, like in a metaverse, which looks like an amphitheater.
Yeah, so that's wonderful. I mean, through a head device, then I mean, I can go into that world itself.
Exactly. So it's like, how, it's like you asking me or somebody asking me, like what's the difference between driving a car or a bicycle? I said, you have to drive it and experience it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's exactly what it is.
So, I mean, why why are people not? What prevents us from expanding on it? I mean, this is such a wonderful concept. I mean, what prevents us?
Well, it's a very interesting question, and we keep pondering over, because what happens is, if you look at the past 4 or 5 years, there is a new shiny object being launched every year. So it started with blockchain, then came NFTs, then came metaverses, then came tokenization, then came AI, and now we're talking about quantum. So what happens is, because AI, what has happened is, with AI, it becomes so accessible right now that people find it much more easier to use. That much
Right.
I'll give it to them. They just go to ChatGPT, put in a prompt, and they'll see. What people are trying to do is just ask basic questions. Like sometimes half the world is just trying to correct their grammatical errors using ChatGPT. With emails and stuff like that. Just to sound a
Right.
little more polished. But people are still not using it that effectively. But just because they can simply go it to the browser and use it. The difference between metaverse is that it is a little relatively time consuming to create, because you're creating that experience and then selling it, so the costs are a little higher, on the higher side, for brands to create it. I think that's one reason. The other reason I'll say is that even though all the big brands, most of the big brands that you think of, had you created a metaverse experience or created that and still continue to do so, but that did not trickle down to the some mid tier and then a lower tier brands. That's why that it just remained experience for big brands, except the gamification, which brands are doing, which is in Roblox, Fortnite, or any other experience.
So, I mean, I'm an economist at the end of the day, though I have multiple specializations. So, if I experience a World Economic Forum in a metaverse environment, my experience will be totally different.
Absolutely. And not only that, you will end
The
up
same
saving a
as
lot of.
almost same as going there in person, but I am not there in person.
Absolutely. And the other advantage will be you saving a lot of costs, right? You're not spending the ticket, your hotel, and everything. What it can also do is that it's going to reduce your carbon footprint, from going to a flight, taking all this, because we are all talking about that. Considering, like you run it on a PC or wherever it is being done, the offset will be still marginally very low, like when you use a metaverse experience. The problem with that, I feel it is a financial problem, is that, when you're trying to replace physical events with virtual events, the event creators take a less of money. There's no profitability in that, because when you have to join from a virtually, you as a attendee will save a lot of time, but what will happen is that the creator of that event will not be able to generate enough revenue online which they would do in a physical event.
Right.
That could be one reason, why a lot of adoption. Yeah, I will not say it is zero. There are a lot of companies still doing it. They can reduce events. My suggestion, was always to have, say, if you are doing 4 physical events, do 3 in physical. Start moving slowly to the virtual events. Let people experience it and then take a call, how to do it, where it goes. Because it's going to save a lot of time, effort, energy, money for the attendees. But unfortunately, that sort of growth did not really come. It still happens, once in a while. I still keep getting invites to certain events, but it's not to a level where, it becomes the talk of the town.
Are there startups in this sector, and are VCs giving them funding, adequate funding? They're level
In,
1, level 2, level 3.
so in metaverse, no. What has happened out of metaverse is there's something called as a digital twin, which is still being worked at and looked at as a technology advancement. What digital twin does is it creates a digital replica with all with IoT sensors and the lining and everything, which a physical building would require, right? So one of the big car manufacturers based out of Germany, I think it was VW or probably BMW. What they did was they created their first digital, the digital twin. Basically, they first created a digital twin, run all the experience, how the cars would come, how, the training of people will happen and everything. Then they actually went and built the physical space. So for example, say you're doing this AC ducting, right? They will run it with all IoT sensors and everything in a virtual space, figure
Right.
out, work at the parameters. They'll say, is it, whatever the parameters are they right, they're wrong. They'll correct it in the virtual space, rerun it, get data. Once they're satisfied with what they're looking for, that is when they will actually go and, build a physical one, whether it's earthquake resistant, water resistant, whatever they want to do, they will create a virtual one. And that market is growing very rapidly. A lot of companies are
That,
coming in.
that is that's a very
Right.
interesting thing you're saying. You're saying companies are taking a virtual feedback and then doing it physically.
Yes, absolutely. And then what's happened is metaverses are now being used instead of experiences for training people. Say you run a firefighting company, You will train people first in that experience, and before they do it. Engineering. So in engineering, say you're a engine manufacturer, you will have to train people, right, in creating engines. What they're doing is the training first or second level happens in virtually, in a metaverse, in an experience. Once that is done, that is when they'll go and start experiencing in the physical one. So a lot of that is happening these days. So the gaming, concert and events space is not very coming in. The actual use cases which people are trying to use are coming into the metaverse. So airlines, I remember this, I think Airbus started using metaverse for training and support and stuff, something like that, and they reduced the man hours about 20 or 25%. It was few years ago, but that's the amount of efficiency they were able to achieve.
Any big name you can think of using metaverse?
Big name. See, Gucci, Walmart launched late last year. One of their experiences, they've already done Walmart Land before. Gucci, then there is so most of the fashion brands and the retail brands, you will still see them happening. In digital twin, I told you, like a lot of car
Yeah.
manufacturers are getting there. All the big ones are slowly and steadily getting there. So, which this is see the what I'm saying is the hype cycle is over. Now, actual use cases are being built slowly and steadily, and the actual use cases are usually away from the limelight. Is how I'll say it.
Uh, the existing policies of the Ministry of Electronic Affairs covers you, or you need any additional policy support for this metaverse?
There is no additional policy. The only thing, if the policy comes in that they will start creating more experiential education around it, right? For a lot of people, that is where the technology will actually take up. That is where people will talk about it, and that is where the future lies. Because eventually, with see the amount of traffic that you see, virtual reality is going to take shape. Today, it's very less, in terms of the volume. It will eventually take off, with gamification, virtual reality, metaverse experiences, digital transactions and experiences. All of this is going to definitely be, maybe it's the day is not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe day after. If we want to actually lead in it, we want to be able to have a policy which drives its adoption and training. Without training, it will not happen.
Very important point about education and training. Is it a part of IITs and Indian Institute of Science now?
I don't. I no. So as far as my knowledge is concerned, they do have. So I was invited, earlier this year in IIT Roorkee. We done some metaverse hackathon. So they have a metaverse lab. They're talking about it. They're building around it. But in IIT, because I went there, so I've actually seen it myself. I'm assuming it's going to be across IITs. But what use cases they're building, what they're trying to get out of that is, I'm not very sure of. But it's there. It's definitely there in the, discussion for them. They're talking about it for sure.
So it seems instead of taking away jobs, this is going to create jobs for those who learn this technology.
Oh, absolutely. See, no, but again, it's a very important question, coming from you, Dr. Ghosh, that whether it's going to take away jobs. See, AI is set to take away jobs. Initially, there's going to be bump. What I keep telling, a lot of people, especially youngsters who come to me, is that why are you running away? It's like, there was an old Indian movie, you and I might have, I have definitely seen it, called Naya Daur, right? Which talked about industrialization. It had, it was talking about, like, it's a black and white movie. So it's talk about, like people doing it from a lot of manual work. Now industrialization has happened and a lot of machines are coming in, the jobs will go away. But what did happen? People have to, and then, then you have tech revolution, and then, now you have AI. What people really need to do is educate themselves. And that is where we come in, like, because we work in emerging technologies, we educate people and understand, and basically what we do is we help with the business audit of businesses where AI can actually enable them. But people have to be open for it. Like I said before, People fear what they don't understand. Put in the effort to understand, be it AI, be it metaverse, be it any new technology. That is when you can actually ride the wave. Otherwise, it is happening. You and I can be a part of it, or we can be, not like it, but then we'll be sidelined. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Now I will open the discussion for questions.
Sure, happy. If anybody has a question, I am happy to answer. Thank you so much, Dr. Debashish. Impressive. Thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to add value. All right. I don't see we have many questions.
Two compliments came.
Yes. So Duke says that interesting definition of clarity. Thank you so much, Duke. Right. Yeah. But it's interesting. See, this is again a problem, right? When people don't ask questions, the clarity will be difficult. And what people are really afraid, because I do master classes about, startups, and startups can be by anybody, that it is okay to ask stupid questions as long as they help you lead to a smarter question. But what happens is, again, my experience is obviously smaller than yours, but in my experience, people get stuck with the thought, whether am I asking the right question? Is it going to sound stupid? Is it going to be, what will people think of me? It doesn't matter, nobody is a jack. Sorry, nobody cares, what. It just could be a very momentary point, right? So, but yeah, so ask questions today, tomorrow, whenever. Not necessarily with me, with anybody. Like in any situation, please ask questions. Like questions definitely get you closer towards clarity.
Who is the inventor of Metaverse?
There is no inventor as such. Like I said, the first term was Snow Crash. Yes, I remember the name. The novel or the book was called Snow Crash. So you can search. So that book had a mention about metaverse. It was in 1992 or 93, right? So that's where it was talked about first. Then there was something called as game called
So somebody has made a comment.
sure, yeah. So then there was game called Second Life. Again, it's a metaverse experience, like a virtual replica of a city. You can go. It has its own money. You can actually transact and do everything. But there's no. So if that can be the OG of metaverse. Metaverse, I think the name came into the being, when Facebook renamed itself to Meta, it becomes Metaverse. So it's more of a marketing, is what I feel. But virtual worlds have been there for a long time, long time. Yeah, so that's how it is. The origin of the word metaverse can be accredited to that person who wrote in the book Snow Crash. Okay, so Mr. Bira says we at Medicaps University Indore going to establish ARVR lab. Will you please know how best we can make it more update for future industry? Sure, Mr. Patnaik. We can definitely have a one-to-one chat around it, and I can tell you how we're doing it. We just onboarded, like I said, I am the. I sometimes I even forget, what I. Basically, creator of a AR/VR course for a one big university uh, in Punjab. I can help you set up in the in your university as well, or whatever. If you have just questions, I'm happy to answer. And just help you with whatever is possible from my end. So yeah, so please reach out to me, Dr. Ghosh. Here has
Alekh,
my
I have
number.
one suggestion for you. We
Yeah.
come out with a quarterly magazine for startups called. It is the second magazine in India for startup for entrepreneur for sure. In short, startuppreneur. I suggest
Mm-hmm.
you give 1,000 word write up on metaverse. We will publish it in that, and then we can help you reach out to people.
For sure, definitely, we can do that, and I'll be happy to do that. Like, thank you so
I
much
will
for offering that.
introduce you to the editor of that's a startup magazine, and then and and also others who are watching this show can write to me at Indian Chamber for any special questions, and through that article, more people will get to know you.
I will be so awesome. Thank you so much.
I send a separate mail on that, and if there are no more questions, then we will sign off for the day. Mr. ICC Media, anything? Oh, you give your email ID, na Alekh? He's asking,
Okay.
Mr.
So should I
Patnaik.
so should I put in the chat?
Put put in the chat, or
Okay. Okay. So it's not allowing me to chat, but yeah. So I think he can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's a very simple. Just search by my name. You will see Metaverse Torch Bearer. You can just connect with me there.
so Mr. Patnaik, please connect with Mr. Johari through LinkedIn, and or if not, the Indian Chamber is there to help you to connect with him.
Yep, that'll be awesome.
Thank you. We will sign off for now.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, ICC. It was lovely talking to you. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good day.